Hello, hello. Thank you all so very much for being a part of today's episode of Career Conversations. My name is Unica Walcott, and today's guest is Brittany Reese. She is a digital marketing professional, and today we're going to talk about her career journey. Welcome to the show, Brittany. How are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
Good, good. So we'll jump in with my typical first question. What does your family think you do when you tell them you're a digital marketing professional?
I think I just play online all day, just having fun, especially like on social media. Oh, you just get to be online all day. That seems fun, but it can be, but it's a lot of work as well.
I can imagine. So, what do you actually do all day? I imagine it's a little bit more than just playing on the internet.
Sometimes I get to post on behalf of different brands. If they have an event going on, I can highlight their event, or if they need somebody to actually manage their day to day, I can post on behalf of them. And then when I was in news, which wasn't that long ago, posting on the hour, pretty much anything that was happening. So probably 8 hours plus worth of content of stuff happening in my city and keeping up with that. Sometimes checking messages in here and there. Not really the comments thing. We didn't really do that for news, but for the brands, I would comment back and forth if they were like
Okay.
a client.
Okay. So, like for like news, you wouldn't engage as much, but for like other brands, you'd say, thanks for commenting, or that's interesting. Kind of just to engage people.
Right.
That's really interesting. So, which platforms are you typically using, and is there a difference between working for news versus brands?
For news, we really used Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Instagram
Oh,
at both the stations I was at, we would post some stuff like it was something really big, like it was a really big fire. It snowed last year here a lot, so we posted more of that. But most of our posts were mainly like sending our pictures and things like that, so we could highlight people, especially like supermoon and things like that. But anytime it was like a really big fire or something like historic, we posted on there on Instagram and
okay.
Twitter, mainly what's going on, especially like during elections, if there's shooting happening, uh, just different updates as it's happening. Facebook, sometimes the same as Twitter, but usually it would be more if it's a reporter story on Twitter, then you would see it then, unless it was something really, really big, like a lot of people got shot or something really interesting, like they had a Twin Parks kind of monster thing like that. Things like that, fun things you would see more of, maybe the video. I think it's just different depending on the platform, whatever your station prefers most. I think Twitter is like more all the way up to date, and then you would post a story later versus Facebook. If it wasn't something really big, you may post it, but then when the reporter story came, then that's when you would post their link. So we may start the story first with the digital team.
Okay, so you said when the reporter story came, can you explain a little bit more about what you mean when you say that?
Throughout the day, the reporter would be either on the scene wherever they are getting the story, and one of my roles on the digital team was to take their tweets and probably get the story started. And then once
Yeah.
they came back, they would tell us, this is added, or I would listen to the broadcast to add on to their story. And then maybe Facebook, maybe that's the first time that people would see it when the reporter story. But on Twitter, if they were following on Twitter, they could see all the updates that was happening throughout the day.
Okay, so then it was kind of a whole like workflow. Like, okay, here's the breaking news portion, sort of the headline. Then you work into the details. That's pretty cool. So, what is your favorite part about digital marketing? Like, what do you enjoy most? Is it the engagement of the audience? What is it that is your favorite?
I like that you can actually talk back to people. It's allowed. Yeah, definitely the engagement, especially on Twitter, because I've been really active on Twitter and just seeing how people interact personally or professionally versus news. So it's interesting to see that because I hadn't seen that over the years I had my Twitter, but I wasn't
Mhm.
really using it that much besides like live tweeting shows.
Oh, you sound like me. I'm the worst. Oh my god! Like I've started like my Twitter. Like I have like three or four different accounts, and like I just abandoned them. And then sometimes I revisit them. Like I'm not a big like Twitter user at all.
I'm on there
So
all the time now. I'm on
you
there like almost 3 or 4 times a day right
oh
now.
yeah?
Yeah.
So where can people find you on Twitter? Like, what are you tweeting about?
I jump in a lot of Twitter spaces. I just got on there one day and I saw the little icon. I was like, what is this? So I jumped in one. I was like, I like this. Like, I like podcasts in general. I was like, oh, it's just like podcasts, just like Clubhouse, just talking back to the people. So I started live tweeting and I met like so many people over like the past, I think 2 or 3 months. I've met more people probably than I've met on Facebook in years. Just
Oh,
because,
really?
just because my Facebook, I would add people to manage pages versus I really wasn't talking to them. So
Oh,
you know,
okay.
pages versus Twitter, I'm more intentional about who I'm following, who I'm messaging.
That makes sense. So then you were like finding people that are kind of like-minded that you can like have conversations with.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't think I would like it as much because it's like, oh, Twitter, that's just, during the award shows, like what purpose does it serve for me personally? I knew what it did for businesses and things like that. But I was like, personally, what is Twitter going to do for me? But it's done a lot.
Okay, so then it's actually been like a beneficial sort of experience. It's not been okay. So, do you have a favorite platform? Like, do you prefer Twitter over Instagram? Just like personally and versus professionally. Just curious.
I like Twitter for information wise. Like I go to Twitter for my information quicker than I would go anywhere else. But if I'm like looking at visuals, like so since I used to be a photographer, Instagram is definitely the way to go. Like I'll scroll through a lot of people's pictures over and over. Like, oh, it's like, and I'll comment on it. Like, that's a really good shot, or what event was this, or you having another event later? Just because I may want to go to it, not to probably take pictures now. But then, yes, I was like, oh, I want to go to the next event. Like, where are you located? But now it's more like I appreciate the visuals.
Oh, okay, so if somebody was trying to decide like which platform to be on for their brand, what advice would you give them? Like, what is like the first question they should be asking themselves?
Make sure your bio reflects what your brand is. You have a lot of space. You can change out your links when you need to. That's the good part about it. And use stories. That way you can say this is happening tomorrow or things like that versus sometimes a regular post. Unless it's something like I know I do regular posts. If I'm really proud of it, I'll do a regular post. I don't care when it is.
When it is, it doesn't have to
well,
be.
like I work toward this, or this is an event I'm going to be a part of, or my friends are part of. Like I'll make a regular post. But using stories more, I think that's really good. And just say link in the bio. I know people think that's I don't know. I guess it's becoming more cliche. Like nobody's clicking the link in the bio, but some people are. How else are they going to know to visit whatever you have going? That's all we have on Instagram on regular pages. So if you have a regular page, you're going to have to keep saying link in the bio versus other people that have those cool features that you could just click on links. If you have a regular page like me, just say link in the bio.
I mean, I'm not a fan of link in the bio because I just feel like it's one more extra step. I'm like super social lazy, but it's good to know that like that's an effective strategy. And I think that maybe the benefit is it tells people what else they can find and where they can find you.
Yeah, I mean, you can put your website, you can put an event that you're on, anything that you want to do in that bio. Like I use my link tree, so I can link to other things on there. So when they go to it, they'll probably see when I was on a podcast, and they'll see my website. Then I'll add this one. So when we're done with this one, I'll add that as the top one, so they can see what I've been doing before they enter my website. Or if they don't want to go to my website, they can go to my Twitter or my LinkedIn. I don't think I have my Facebook on there just because I just share a lot on my Facebook. I'm not as active on Facebook. I'm on there, but I'm not like posting. Like I'm watching.
Okay. So then tell me this, how did you get into digital like marketing and communications? Like what spawned this sort of career for you?
I just was on Facebook one day and I was trying to see how I could use it professionally because I was like, I'm on here all the time. Is there a way that I can learn more about social media? Because I didn't have any social media classes in my replays. They didn't have that at that time. So I just started getting on and seeing that people were posting about their events. Thought that'd be cool to like go to an event and it's not really live tweeting, I guess live posting at that time about it. And then I got hooked up with a local magazine and I was a writer at first and a photographer. And then later on when I saw the social media, I was like, we should do this. Like we should be posting more other than our ads. Ads are great. We want the money, but I wouldn't click on our page. if I didn't know who we are, because I'm like, you just want me to buy stuff, and that's fine. There's a place for that, but you need to build like an actual content plan. So I became the social media manager, which helped me see what other brands were doing digital wise. Like, okay, so I didn't handle the emails because I was like, I'm over here on the social media, but I gave suggestions. I didn't really do the emails as much, but I definitely did the input of like, okay, so we should have this in our email blast because it coordinates with our social media. They need to go hand in hand. That way people can see, maybe not the same.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we talked a little bit about your social media background. You look like you froze for a second. Can you hear me? Okay, so I'm going to pause just a second. I'm not sure if this is like a tech issue or what's going on. 1 second, Brittany. I'm going to take you out of the stream and put you back in really quick. All right, so we're having a little tech fun this morning, guys. I am having some issues with the connection with Brittany, so you guys give me oh, then we will ask this question. Hold on 1 second, Brittany. I'm not sure what the connection issue is. You guys give me a moment. We'll figure out what's going on. This is the joy of live broadcasting. Okay, so it looks like she's having a connection issue. I guess, this is a good opportunity to kind of take a break, kind of mid-show. I did promise a while back for you guys that have been watching the show for a while that I was going to do a giveaway of a gift card for people that like, commented, and shared on the HBCU Legacy Fashion episode with Shalana Fultz. Yes, Shalana Fultz. I always want to use her maiden name, so y'all forgive me on that. It is actually Fultz. Yeah, and Linda, that's a great question. I'm going to get to that when we get Brittany back into the broadcast. So just give me a second on that part. But what I do want to do is do this Visa gift card giveaway, and I'm going to give this Visa card to Dr. Lakita Frederick. She was one of the participants and people who engaged in that particular episode. And so Dr. Lakita Frederick, I'm not sure if you are watching today, but I'm going to make sure that I reach out to you and make sure that you receive your $25 Visa gift card for being a part of Career Conversations. Thanks so much. We really appreciate you. And I think at this point, Brittany's been able to log back on. So we're going to jump back into the conversation. Brittany, welcome back. How are you?
Hi, I don't know what happened. I checked all my stuff, so hopefully it's working.
Look, it happens. This is like the fun of like being actually live. Like there's always some little hiccup that can happen and you got to just be able to flex. And so what I did while you stepped away is I had a couple of giveaways I promised people. One episode I promised people that I was going to give away a gift card for the participation in the HBCU Legacy Fashion episode with Shalana Fultz, who is the owner of the cool fashion line. I got my niece a gift there for Christmas. I can't wait to see her in it. So Dr. Lakita Frederick's going to be the winner of our $25 gift card. I've got some more giveaways coming up. And this giveaway is actually going to be from Rugged Femme, the fitness apparel. And that was a interview I had earlier this year with Onyx. So y'all stay tuned for that. I've got a giveaway. It's going to be some cute stuff you guys can get your hands on. So stay tuned. Brittany, let's jump back into the conversation. We're talking about social media, your experience, the things that are effective and not effective. Linda posed this question. She said, is it true that IG Reels help increase engagement? What do you think about Reels?
I like them. It's a lot of work to do it.
Yes.
I think it does because we're visual. So I feel like anytime you can do a video, do it. And then maybe you can cut it up and do things like that. I feel like Reels take people out of their comfort zone, kind of like going live and other stuff. So I think they're really creative. I think they do increase engagement. Just don't feel like everything has to be so perfect just to get started. Put it out there and then see how it goes, because you might not know what you're doing at first.
That makes a good point to really just dare to get started, because it's not easy to put yourself out there. And I think that kind of goes in the vein of like how this show even started. Like I literally had an idea one Saturday or probably middle of the week, and I was like, you know what? Let me do a show about so-and-so. And I'm usually quick to tell myself no or meander off into like 5 other ideas. And I was like, just stick with it. Do 3 episodes. See how it goes. If you don't hate it, do 10. And here we are, 8-9 months later, and I'm like already making 2022 plans for like how I want it to look. So I think that's excellent advice to like really take the risk and like just put yourself out there and try. Maybe your first reel is terrible, but maybe the 100th is fabulous. and you can't get there without the dare. So you think reels are worth the challenge?
I think they're worth it. Now, don't feel like you have to do one every day or anything like that, or every week. Just start posting them and then check to see how your engagement is doing. You may feel like this is not, I don't need to do reels, but you're not going to know that until you post a few of them.
That makes sense to actually just take the plunge and try and see what works. I feel like people think about digital marketing in context of like, I've got to be on every social media platform and I've got to, make sure that everything is absolutely perfect. I've had people give me feedback even on, things that I've created, and they go, I like the fact that it's not super polished. I was like, that's kind of scary, but thank you for that information. So I think that's excellent advice for people to kind of just dare to take the plunge and be yourself. I think that's probably the best thing. We talked a little bit about your IG reels. What are some other tactics or things that you think are kind of critical to the digital marketing toolbox? Like if you had to pick 3 things that you would like start with for most brands or people, what would you start with?
A hashtag. I know Facebook frowned upon it at first, but you can still search on Facebook for hashtags. They were just very slow in getting it. So maybe 1 or 2. Don't go crazy. I know for Instagram, when I first started posting them, I was just seeing everybody do like a lot of them. And I still do a lot of them depending on what it is, but don't feel like you have to do the 5, 10. You don't have to do that. Usually people do it to be funny about something more so now. And that's fine.
Not like a joke.
Yeah, like it's more joking versus popping up on search, but 1 or 2 is fine. And once you get to a certain point, you may not even need a hashtag on Instagram. You may just put it out there and it's like people come. I like to search based on hashtags. I go down the rabbit hole just as a consumer. So like other people do the same thing. So 1 or 2 that represent you or what you're doing is good.
That makes sense. I mean, I've been experimenting with hashtags myself. I mean, the one I've been using obviously for the show is hashtag career conversations. But like just kind of here and there, different things, some of my own brand and keywords. So it's good to know, like, you don't need to go crazy, put 20 hashtags, 1 or 2 is good.
Visuals are important. When you get time, do a photo shoot. But we have all these filters and stuff that help things along. They weren't around when I first started getting on Instagram and things like that. Like they've come a long way and just have their built-in filters. So pay attention to your visuals. Try different stuff before you know what your brand look will be like, or your personal brand. You may not know, oh, I like black and white photos, or I like black and white with a spot of color. That may be your thing, but you won't know that until you start. You can always hide posts later. It makes everything easier now. You can archive without
just hide it if it no longer fits.
That you do like, oh, I tried that and I don't like that. That's not brand on, but it's okay to have a post every once in a while that's not brand on. Like I don't understand that because I feel like it's more robotic, and I get that for bigger brands. But like if it's a smaller brand or if it's your personal brand, you don't have to have everything cookie cutter, but you may have something like an event that may be your color for your events or things like that. That's fine. Do that.
Now that makes sense. So how does digital marketing like relate to events? Like what does that look like together? Like for people that maybe wouldn't put the 2 things together immediately.
That's how you're gonna promote your event. Whether you're using Eventbrite, I love Eventbrite. They make stuff easier, or whether you're just manually doing things through your comments in your newsletters. It's going to help you get your message out. While I know everyone doesn't use that, I've heard over, I was like, I get too many emails, but I was like, that's going to be the way you're going to be contacted. I'm not going to knock on your door saying, hey, this is an event. I'm not hitting the streets, and most people aren't, unless it's a very small local event that has its place. Flyers still work, but I mean, if you're trying to connect with people all over the world here, like we're doing, you're going to have to make a post saying, this is the event, this is the time, join us. So integrating your message with whatever platform, you can use Constant Contact, you can use MailChimp, you can use so many different things.
Okay, so So you're saying like take advantage of the digital marketing piece. I mean, I think the other thing is like usually these are very cheap or free sort of tools you can get access to. And if you've been planning in advance, you've built a mailing list or you've built a following, so you're able to engage people who would actually already be interested, not just walking up to strangers, kind of like the equivalent of a cold call and being like, "Hey, you should spend $100 on this ticket for this thing you know nothing about."
Yeah. It makes it so much stuff is more free now, and I like that because you get to try it out. Like everybody don't have money like that to try all these tools. Like you need to try the trial and then go from there. And some of them are fairly cheap, like sometimes $10 in like a month to get you started, depending on how many subscribers you have. They have the tier. I like the tier system. I don't mind, paying more or telling the client like, "Hey, pay more. You have all these subscribers. Shell out the money for this." Like, you can't keep using the free one when you're that popular. So it makes sense because you have that many people.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Like for me, like I started this particular, vlog using StreamYard, the free version. After realizing there was a few other features and bells and whistles you could get for the subscription version, I was like, I will pay $25 for that. And for me, I teach people like this is an expensive hobby. But I love doing this. What skills do you think you need to become an effective digital marketer or communications professional?
Set up your listening tools. One of the listening tools I use a lot is Tweetdeck. I know people don't really like Tweetdeck anymore. It still has its place.
Tweetdeck. Tell me more about this. I'm not familiar.
You can hook up your Twitter to it, and you can make all these columns. So I know I have a column for Arkansas agencies. Like I'll have that right there, so I can see what's going on with that. I'll have a column for weather, things like that. So I want to know what's going on with the weather. You got an event, you may want to set up a thing for weather too. You may need to cancel it, especially if it's in person. So you'll know what's going on with the weather in real time. Usually, wherever you are, they'll have a hashtag based on your location of weather. Weather teams are really good about that, of having a hashtag directed toward their location for weather. That way you can follow it quickly. We had weather yesterday, so I got on Twitter trying to see what's going on. The sirens were going off. That's a quick way to do it. I don't have cable. I don't even have an antenna little box. So I go directly to social media to find out about what's going on with weather for the most part.
Okay, so when you say set up a tool for listening, what do you mean by listening? Like people usually think of listening, they think about listening to music, think about headphones, podcasts. And when you say listening and social media, can you expand upon that a little bit?
It's like, so your neighbors are outside talking and you're trying to you have your ear up like, what's going on over there? People do the same thing on social media. It's just you can do it based on hashtags. You can have a column for hashtags, or it can be actual followers. Like you want to spy on somebody else and like, I like what they're doing. I need to keep up with them, but I don't want to go to their page every day. Just log into your Tweetdeck and you can have them in a list. Just like on Twitter that they have they call them lists, and people can add you. If their list is public, that you get to see every time somebody's adding you to the list. So I make my list private. I don't want nobody knowing that I'm adding to the list unless it's more of like a resource.
Okay.
List.
So Tweetdeck is basically how you can be a social media snoop.
Well, you can also tweet from there and schedule tweets as well. So
okay. So kind of similar to like Hootsuite. Okay, that's really cool.
But it's just for Twitter. So I like Hootsuite. I use Hootsuite for different things and stuff. But if I'm only focusing on Twitter, if I was like today, this is the day I'm going to look on Twitter, I just pull up my Tweetdeck and look from there. You can change columns anytime you want, collapse them, message people, just anything that you need to do.
That's really cool.
Just like on Hootsuite. Hootsuite's come a long way too, so I definitely like Hootsuite.
She said, "Look, I like to take advantage of that." So there's some really cool tools. I understand that you are currently a fellow for SPJ. How did you get that honor, and like, what has that experience been like for you? And for people that aren't familiar with SPJ, I should explain: the Society for Professional Journalists.
Yes, I'm a member of my local chapter.
Okay.
So I got to go to some meetings, but not as many as I wanted to because of my schedule, because I work at night. So I just happened to be on LinkedIn one day, and I got a message from somebody a part of SPJ. Said, "Oh, are you a part of the local chapter?" And I was like, "To be honest, I am, but I don't get to really go to the meetings. Like I respond to the emails, but I do want to be a bigger part. I feel like SPJ, I can learn a lot." So they told me to apply for the fellowship. and I got in, and I got to attend the national convention. It was virtual, and the person that invited me was the varsity and inclusion chair at the time, but now she's president. So that's Rebecca Aguilar. I would not be a fellow without her telling me about the fellowship. She wasn't a part of the committee, but I wouldn't have had any idea about the fellowship at all if she hadn't LinkedIn me. I was like, who is this sending me a LinkedIn?
Yeah.
And, I didn't know who it was, but I'm always on LinkedIn. So I saw it and applied, searched my spam, and it was in there. I was like, oh, thank you. Sorry for the delay. I'm happy to be a part. And I got to attend the national convention. We got to talk to all these different people before every session started. We called it Meeting with the Fellows. So we got to talk to just different people about what their voice was like in journalism. Was it good? Was it bad? Were people listening to you in your coverage? Did you feel like your news station or your team, were they supporting you? Or did you feel like they're just pushing you aside, especially for minorities and people of color? How did you feel in your newsroom? So each day we got to talk to somebody about their journey. And then we got to go to all these sessions. Like they covered 9/11, like the photographers that were there on the ground. They did this whole presentation, and I thought that was really cool to see their visuals and how it affected them in their personal life. And are they still in journalism today? How do you feel about, do you work on 9/11? Just things like that versus, and then everything to tools, like what should be in your toolbox for digital people, for reporters. I just never experienced all that except for in school. So it was just an eye-opening experience to learn about what is journalism like for other people, not just me sitting in the newsroom just typing away. What is it like for other digital people or other reporters, or how are they interacting with their digital teams or just reporters, how other newsrooms actually do work. Since I only worked in two, I didn't know what other people were doing.
Yeah. So can you talk to me about what your experience has been like in a newsroom? What's a day in the life like for you in a newsroom?
Hectic. A lot of people drink a lot of coffee. I mainly did fraps and things because I don't really like the taste of coffee, but the sugar would get me going. So I would get a frap, especially before football season. So pretty much probably as soon as you walk in the door, usually they're briefing you, or you may get texts or something to prep you before you're coming into work, so you know what you're hitting the ground running. So for digital, I know sometimes I'll get a text saying this is happening, or I might see it on the way to work. I was like, okay, that's probably something I'm going to touch as soon as I get in the door. So probably the first thing you're going to do is ask who's ending their shift, especially for digital, because our shifts would overlap a little, but not a whole lot. So if I didn't get a text before, I'd be like, okay, so what are you done with? What do you need help with right now? What is there something in my email right now that I need to touch, or do I just need to hit the ground running, like picking up your story? So knowing from that angle, you may talk to your news desk manager to see what's going on, because they'll probably like, this needs to be posted right now. They just got off. You need to hit this right then and do that, and then work back to your emails, because your emails, you may not need to look at the emails right away. You may need to just go to Twitter first. And then the emails, if like a PIO, public information officer, sent something, then you can go from there. They may have a news release that comes later on during the line, but a lot of times they're getting on it. People are tweeting sometimes before they send out the news release. So we're not waiting now as long for the news release to start a story.
Okay. So that's interesting to think about how things have changed and how social media has influenced the newsroom. I studied journalism in college, and I feel like social was still a very emerging sort of media space, and now it seems like it's dominant. I mean, I'll put it to you this way. I feel like when I was in school, people were still like treating TMZ like the novelty. They were like, oh, TMZ, they reported something. And now, like, if TMZ reports it, people go, oh, that's facts. Like, we know because, Harvey's checked that he's a lawyer and he's not getting sued. Like,
yeah.
So that's really, really cool to like realize how much social media has changed the landscape of how reporting is done. And that people aren't waiting for the official release and the editor to put their stamp of approval on, like, yes, this is acceptable for us to put out. Twitter is kind of now the front line of first line reporting. for a lot of events.
It's a little sticky because I mean, like, this is not correct, and this, that, and then you have to you have to do a correction, but it's based on police said this, then they said this, so people know.
Okay.
Whoever is doing the correction themselves, like they did the correction, and we're doing the correction based on the correction. It kind of gets a little hard to follow sometimes,
Okay.
but you try to keep up.
That makes sense. So this sounds like a role where you've got to be very much fast-paced sort of work environment. You probably said you come in drinking coffee.
Yeah.
to keep the pace. You have strong attention to detail. You've got to be very, very flexible in the way you consume information and share it. You've got to be kind of high communication person. You can't be a person that wants to sit in the corner and go, I'm just doing my thing. You've got to engage your coworkers and also kind of the live events. What is something you wish you knew before you started in media?
Sleep is important. Turn off your phone if you can. If you're not on call, that's the whole thing about journalism and being media.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you're always on call.
Okay.
It's hard to turn off. So when you can, try to do that. Because I know for me, I'm like a bit on YouTube and things like that. Sometimes I'd have to stop. I'm like, I can't even get on right now because the commercials would trigger me. Like the COVID commercials would trigger me to think about work and thinking about the next day. Or like, okay, so I know it's going to be a COVID briefing at this time. Am I ready for this and that? I wouldn't turn off. So knowing when to turn off if you can. If you're on call, you can't turn off. Just like at some point in time, you're probably going to be on call wherever you're working. Hopefully it's not every day or every weekend or things like that, but it's going to come. So it's not a 9 to 5 kind of thing. So when you get the chance to not be on call or to actually have a vacation,
So turn off the phone, take the email app off.
Yeah.
Get some rest. That's so important. So what are some of the things you've learned to help strike and find balance for you in your life as you've managed to kind of be on call and working nights?
I'm working on that. It's definitely a constant work in progress from working at night and now I work in the day. Because my body still says you have all this time to be up and do whatever, and you're like, no, you need to be up at 4, so you can eat something. Eating breakfast. So eat breakfast if you switch from shifts, from day to night. Try to acclimate your body to get that because you're going to starve to death. You're going to be hungry at like noon, and you're wondering why you're hungry. Well, it's because you've been up since 4, or if you had something to work on 3, or things like that. So eat breakfast. Eat depending on your shift.
So it sounds like you have to. You're in this rich. If you did recently start a new job, and so kind of shifting from the night shift life to more of a day side thing has been an interesting transition. In terms of resources, if people are interested in becoming digital marketing professionals, what resources would you recommend?
HubSpot has a lot of great trainings, free trainings. LinkedIn is pushing up their game with the little training videos. I just save them when I can go back to them, but get on there. The carousel thing has become like a LinkedIn marketing tool. I followed the girl that pretty much started doing it, like telling more about yourself more than just this is what I do, this is who I am, starting first with this is who I am, and then this is what I do. I think that I had to learn how to do that. I'm doing that more each day now because you're not your work. It's just something that you do. So that helps with the balance.
Louder for people that you are not your work. It's just something you do.
Right. So now when I introduce myself, I don't always start with what I work. I may start with what I like to do and then move into it. We're just in a different dynamic as far as like careers. You can actually do that and it's okay now. And it takes time to adjust to that. Because if you're very like, okay, so this is it, this is that, this is that, this is what I do, this is why she hired me, this is this. Yeah, that has a place, but you can still be you can show a little of yourself now. I feel like even in interviews and things like that, I found that you can, and it's okay to be like, it's okay to smile. Like I'm very, like when it comes to like more professional stuff, I don't, because I'm so focused on what I'm trying to say.
That's so funny because I think I remember like being in very early career and like reading like an article like in Essence or something. And it was like one of the early career advice pieces that the woman got that she shared in the article was to always smile.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is funny because, and I feel like it's one of those things I took to heart because it's like it makes people gives people a sense that you're approachable. And so I kind of took that to heart. So it's really interesting to learn that you're like, I don't smile. I'm very focused on getting my message across. But I also realized, like, if you're on camera and you're a reporter and you're talking about a murder, you can't be smiling. Like, it's not appropriate. And so you have to be very, very mindful of your body language in that role. It's got to be tough.
Yeah, luckily I haven't had to be. I've been more behind the scenes. I don't think I could mentally make it as a reporter because people will message you about your looks and things like that. So I got to see the back end of messages and things like that of what people say about reporters versus you're not even talking, you're not even paying attention to the story. So I don't know if I could do it. So I've always been behind the scenes, or if I interviewed somebody, it was never like on camera. Very few times I
Okay.
do camera for anything. I would do it if it's required of the job. I would do
Right.
it. But necessarily like seeking out to be a spokesperson, that would take time. I think I would have to build up to actually wanting to be on camera versus actually just sending the information. It's definitely tough.
So, what did you want to be when you grew up? I know you're in digital marketing now, but what did you want to be?
When I was younger, I wanted to be an artist. I was really into art. Then I wanted to be a professional musician. I played saxophone.
Get
I don't
out,
know
me
how
too.
many years that was, all the way 6th grade to college, undergrad. So I went to band on a band scholarship. Shout out to A State, Arkansas State University, for allowing me to go to college for that band scholarship. Because without that band scholarship, I was not going. Um, so I did want to be a musician. I just felt like I don't know if I got burnt out because it was more like a job. Like I'm doing it for that. Maybe I lost my passion for music. I still have my saxophone. I'm gonna get checked out. See is it okay to play. I played it a few times. It hurt my
Yeah.
chest to play, but
I would have thought like your cheeks hurt from like having to maintain
yeah,
the embouchure.
they would be blown out. I mean, I feel like I have really big cheeks anyway, but they would be like out to here because I'm not used to breathing that way. I'm not used to this is not good. But I think I felt like more of a if I saw it more as less of a job as of making money, maybe I would have kept on doing it. And I was in band and I felt like that was a chore. I was grateful for my scholarship, but I felt like I was losing sight of what I went to school for. Like I came in declared as photojournalism major.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the right decision to come in declared. Maybe I should have explored a little more, but I was very like, if I'm doing it, it has to be this. Like I had to have everything, my ducks in a row kind of thing. I was kind of that person
Yeah.
when I decided when I was going to college. When I said I'm going, then I was like, I need my ducks in a row. But before then, I was just like, I'll figure it out what I'm gonna do. I missed that part of I'll figure it out because now I don't have that in
Oh.
my
I
mind.
mean, I look back and I laugh because I get the whole mindset of like I have to have everything figured out. Everything has to be organized. And then you get to a certain point and you realize like none of us know what the heck we're doing anyway.
Right.
We were just making like wild guesses. Oh no, Ramsey. She said, I'm so jealous. I wanted to play saxophone, but she had her cousin tell her it was for boys, and she ended up playing violin. Well, it is not too late. I've really been contemplating and revisiting some of my old hobbies like the last few months. I was like really sitting down and reflecting on my own goals for next year. So the reason that I'm wrapping the season up with this episode today and revisiting, what does career conversations look like in 2022 and where does it fit in my life? Because as much as I love spending my Saturday with y'all, I kind of miss the idea of having the option to go to the hair salon on a Saturday. Like you all know, like right now is when I would be sitting in a chair instead of, chatting with you guys or just doing other like things for myself. So I'm revisiting the showtime and all those things and figuring out the formula going forward. Also, I'm considering things like studying for my private pilot's license and picking up saxophone again or sewing. Like, so many things I want to put my hands back on. And it's like, how do we focus that energy so that I can kind of have a much more full life? I've also started a new job. So I get you on like not having it figured out and like me realizing I don't have to have a clue at all. I just got to try some stuff and see what happens. Like, I tried this. I loved it. I don't imagine it's going anywhere anytime soon. I'm over here trying to figure out like how can I travel to meet people on site and do these interviews here and there with some of the PTO I got. Like that's what I want next year to look like. And so this is, my birthday's tomorrow.
Happy early birthday.
Thank you. And so I wanted to take time and kind of just figure out what does this next year look like for me. Or realize I don't have to do everything in a year, and I don't even have to do it all in a week or a month. But like giving everything a time and place will make things better. So I kind of giggle when you said I had to have all my ducks in a row. I was like, yeah, I was that girl too. I was like, I'm not changing majors. I might have changed schools, but I never changed majors. I get it. And feeling like if you didn't do it in order or the right way, then you failed somehow. And like really kind of growing to let go of that perfectionism so you can enjoy more life. Because I mean, we don't get to do this twice. Why be miserable for other people?
Right. I think I do miss what I've been telling people that are younger than me going to college or whatever you're going to do after high school. Have fun, because when you get out, it's real life. And I feel like I wish I would have had more fun.
Oh, me too. Like I can probably count on my hand like the number of parties I went to like all during college. Like it's kind of sad. I was like, oh, you missed so much.
It was like, okay, you have to do this. You have lessons this time, that time. Remember, you have to get through your work study this time. Get through that. I was just in class, and I'm like, I don't even know what class is in. I got all this homework. Hopefully, it's for you. I think I should have slowed down a little. It would have been okay if I didn't.
Thank you.
4 years. I think I would have been okay if I didn't. I felt like I needed to. Felt like I needed to do that and take those 18 hours, and just have that full load and things.
When you have scholarships, like, and money is being spent, like, that's the other kind of reality. I don't know about you, but like my mom, when I was young, like introduced me to like Susie Orman and Clark Howard and was like, I don't have all the financial savvy to check these people out. And so like listening to like, Clark Howard's radio show one day, like driving to school, he's like, you should never borrow more money for student loans than you expect to make in your first year out of school. And I was like, oh, perspective here, because I don't really know what I'm doing. And so then, I did the research and realized like with a journalism degree, you're going to literally make peanuts. And I was like, oh. And then I kind of looked at my student loan balance and I was like, yeah, we're taking 18 and 22 hours. Like how many more to graduate? And so I understand the motivation sort of to get it done, because from a financial standpoint, it can be rough, but I'm learning and growing. And like, yes, money is definitely important. It helps solve a lot of problems. Let's not get it twisted. But also, like, what good does it do to have all the money and all your stuff financially and you're going to be like absolutely insane and miserable?
Yeah, like I want to get to the point where I make the money and then be able to spend it enjoyably, handling my business as well. Like,
right, like okay, retirement money is allocated.
Like, I want to.
All the bills are paid.
Point, I want to take a trip and not be like, you know what? I shouldn't have took that trip. Like, I don't want to feel like that. I feel like that about certain things. I'm like, that was over that, miscellaneous budget. Like, I have to stay really tight on things, except for I'm having a Christmas party and I went overboard because Christmas is my happy place. I'll just make up for that later. But that's not something I do like all the time and not even every year. But I decided this year I had a very long year. So I was like, I need this. I need my happy place. So I will make up for that.
Yeah, I think there's a balance. Yeah, learning like to make room for joy. Like, and in fact, enjoyment was like my word for this year. I was like, because I spent so much time and energy like focused on making sure everyone else is okay and everyone else is happy. I was like, what brings me joy and how do I give myself that more often? So I'm super proud of you for taking a leap and planning the Christmas party. And I hope you enjoyed and don't waste energy regretting anything. It's all going to work out. I hope you take pictures. I hope you think about it often, especially when you're at work. Like, why am I doing this? This is why.
In trips, I want to travel. I have my passport.
Yes.
And I'm hoping to use it. I'm always looking for like little deals and stuff. And I'm in like all these travel groups. You told me about one of them. So the solo travel, like I definitely think that's going to be a plan. It kind of freaks me out.
No, okay, here's a crazy life hack. I know this is not on topic, y'all.
Sorry.
Sorry, travel is exciting. The other hack is, sometimes if you're not in a position to spend a crap ton of money on hotels and all that stuff, the other thing I've done, and I did this actually for work a couple of years back, they had like a professional retreat, and I was like, I got 3 things happening this weekend, and I can't be 4 places. It's like, I do have a day. And so I literally got up, caught like a 6 a.m. flight and flew back home at like 8 p.m. And I just spent like a day in Chicago. Like, so those are things you can do, like, regardless. Put your little, get your little backpack, couple of dollars for, like, figure out where you want to eat lunch and all that stuff, figure out your train routes, and just go. Like, don't let, the perfect occasion. If there's an $80 flight and, you can get, you got to just be A to B today. That's it. Like, get up early and come home late. Yeah. Go experience
Take advantage, y'all, those flights. Like, I'll definitely be doing that. I got a few points here from going to Georgia recently, so I definitely feel like I may be hopping on that plane more than ever.
Yeah,
or look at 2 years have taught me you gotta work is not everything. Work is not. It's not what you put behind your name. While I do want some more stuff behind my name eventually, I'm more than that.
You are always more than that, and more than enough. Always. Yeah. So I want you to experience it. You got to tell me about this you're going forward with all your travel shenanigans. I will share my travel shenanigans with you guys. Is there anything you haven't shared that we want to get into today?
Hobby wise, I love webtoons, so check it out. Check that app out if you like.
What is it called?
Webtoons. WEBTOON. You're into anime and things like that, like I am, or if you like a good animated storyline, check it out. It's not just for kids. There are adults on there too. They have slice of life things. They have sci-fi things. I tend to veer sometimes more towards sci-fi slice of life things when I need that good laugh. I would read webtoons like right after I would get off work.
Oh, okay. So this is kind of like Reddit. My husband's obsession with like reading certain threads.
I would read it, and some of them are heavy, so they have the little warnings like beware of triggers. They'll list them, and some of them are just more like, there are people going to work and stuff. You see yourself sometimes in some of the stories, and then other stuff is just really funny, like really slice of life, just like, oh, I saw this joke, haha, like dad jokes kind of things. Like they have some of those kind of webtoons, so that's a big stress reliever. If you like to read, that, and I love podcasts. I'm obsessed with mythology of any sort, whether it's Greek, African, Irish. I'll listen to it.
So it's webtoons.
Yes, it's an app.
Okay.
Should be on your Apple Play Store or your Google Play.
Okay.
You'll get sucked in quick. Forewarning, just set some time aside if you like that.
You like TikTok where you're like, I can't believe I'm watching these videos hours later.
Yeah.
I'm a lurker on TikTok. Like I don't post anything.
Turn into series, like they'll be on series on Crunchyroll. They're like, some people have actually gotten to the point where they've gotten their work turned into series. So you like animated stuff, check them out. They're pretty much comics. I mean, some of them are really short. So if you're scrolling, you're like, dang, it's already over. You're on to the second episode. You're on to the third, and they give you coins sometimes during special events that you can read stuff for free. So I love webtoons and podcasts. Send me your recommendations for podcasts. I'll probably listen.
Okay, so one of them, not that I'm like, one of them is from a previous guest, but I really like her show. So Jennifer was on the show. She's a recruiter from Google, and her podcast is on Spotify. It's called The Genuine Life, and I love it. It's hilarious. Like, so check it out if you get a chance. It's called The Genuine Life. The read I listen to, probably not the most appropriate thing, but it cracks me up. They go there, and basically the read is the idea of reading people for filth. And so they do, and it's funny. Those are probably my favorite two podcasts. Number 3 has to be Happier by Gretchen Rubin. And this is one that was recommended to me by my CPSM study buddy. But I really like it because it's got all kind of cool life hacks. One of the recent episodes talked about like how to manage your holiday feelings and like how to not overshop. And I was like, oh, this is me right now because I got packages coming in the mail. And my husband's like, what is this? I'm like, So those are my favorite 3. Do you have any favorite podcasts?
I like Okay Now Listen. They're a partnership with like Netflix, Strong Black Lead. They're definitely like, I go to like pop culture, things like that, anything going on, I'll listen to them, and they're really funny. They talk about everything. They'll talk about what's it like what are you having for Thanksgiving? What's on the menu to topics in the news. So they do a good segue. They'll warn you like before episodes, like if this is, if you don't want to listen to this, you may not want to listen to this specific episode. So if I don't, I just skip to the next one. I like Podcast Network. I think they're only on Spotify, but they have everything. Like that's where my mythology stuff. It gets my creative juices going. I listen to mythology, mythical monsters. They had one about like imposters, where this guy like he went around and pretended like to be a CIA agent, and he pretty much got caught. But going through his story and how he was able to do it, I like true crime stuff more now than before because I couldn't listen before, but now I can. It's not. It's still real. I mean, they're real stories, but I'm not like invested. Like my heart goes out to them, but I'm not triggered by the true crime versus I was triggered before, so I couldn't listen. Things like that. But I like stuff like that.
Oh, okay. So it sounds like a lot of fun. Oh, looks like, okay. So I'm not sure. VAWR.tech. I'm not sure what that is. Thanks, Emily, for sharing. We'll look into that further. Guys, thank you so much for being a part of today's career conversation. I did promise some giveaways today. So, Brittany, if you'll sit tight for me backstage, I'm going to actually, you know what? Can you pick a number 1 through 10 for me?
7.
All right. So I'm just going to scroll through comments and see who my 7th comment is. So hopefully, like, it's somebody cool. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, Ramsey Taylor, you were the 7th comment today. So we are going to give away some rugged film gear, actually. Onyx was a previous guest on my show. And so she was kind enough to make a donation to the show. And so we're going to give away one of these cuties here. I don't know if you guys can see it. It is a rugged film tank. It comes in several colors. So Ramsey, you and I will get offline and I'm going to show you the color options and the size, and I'm going to ship it to you. It's a really cute tank. And actually, I think it's really soft and comfortable. I think this is very similar to the one that I ordered. I have a whole little cute set from her Me versus Me collection. So if you guys think about your fitness goals and what you want to look like next year and how you want to feel, then I highly recommend checking out Rugged Film for all of your fitness apparel needs. She's also got some really cute shoes that she just came out with. She is on Instagram. And so congratulations, Ramsey. I'm going to connect with you offline. But you guys, thank you so much for being a part of Career Conversations. Tomorrow is my birthday. Linda, Brittany, Jennifer, all of the wonderful people who participated. Brittany, thank you for being a part of the show. I love y'all so much. Looking forward to all the cool things that are going to happen next year. So you guys, please make sure that you stay connected with me. If you want more information on what is happening, best places to probably reach me is always going to be uniquawalcott.com. If you want to keep in touch with me a little bit more personally, you can definitely follow me at Unique Walcott on Instagram and Twitter. Like I said, I'm kind of Twitter lazy. Instagram is probably your best place. And obviously the website. So that's where you'll find out where all the upcoming guests and information is coming from. I've got a zillion ideas as far as like mailing lists and other things for next year. I'm not sure which thing I'm going to tackle first or if at all. But if you guys have got feedback or thoughts on what you guys want the show to look like next year, or people that you want me to talk to, I've got morticians in the queue. I've got engineers and scientists, all kinds of people that I have reached out to that have verbally agreed to be a part of the show next year. Y'all let me know, because this is a show that I'm creating that I want to share with everybody so that you guys can explore the opportunities about what it looks like, to try on different careers, and whether you're, fresh out of college or fresh out of high school, or, in your 60s and saying, I want a whole complete do-over. This ain't working. I want a career change. Like, this show is for you. This show is for us. So I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for being a part of Career Conversations. Until 2020, peace out. Ramsey, I'm going to inbox you. Congratulations. And she said, thank you, Brittany. This was great.
Thanks, Ramsey.
Oh, wait. Ramsey said she's going to wear it to her box. Look, so she is already like in the zone. Like, I'm going to have to be like you when I grow up, because I'm so workout lazy. I thought that being cute was going to help me. All right. Love y'all. Bye.
Bye.